Hello everyone, welcome to the Invisible Gamecast presented by Invisible Gamer. My name's Gabe Gurwin. I'm back. As you can see, my setting has changed a little bit. I'm back at college now in an apartment. And Tristan was supposed to be on this call, but we were having some technical issues, so hopefully we figure out what the hell was going on for next week's show. But it's the 13th episode next week, so that probably won't happen. It'll be even more unlucky.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, because I actually do have plans next Saturday.
Oh no. Social lives. No.
Yeah, jeez.
With Bob.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Bobby fucking Feckety. That's fun to say. So there's actually a lot to... I feel like most weeks I keep saying there wasn't that much to talk about, but we have a few interesting stories. This week there was actually a lot of stuff, and then one very, very big piece of news which we'll save for the end, so that if we are under time, we can stretch it out a little bit, just into the mind of the creator of the show. There you go. Mm-hmm. So first off, this is from near the beginning of the week. This is the first really big piece of news. I guess it's related to gaming, although it's not like a console or a game coming out, but Amazon bought Twitch for $970 million. All of their shares. Yeah.
Lots of money.
So everyone had assumed that Google was going to be buying them, but apparently there was hesitation on their part because they were worried about an antitrust action by the FCC, which is valid.
Oh, absolutely. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah, I feel like everyone was super happy that Amazon bought them from comments that I saw. I think it's a good fit. I mean, Amazon's obviously trying to get into games a lot more, and a service that maybe this can make them a little more hesitant to go so far into developing a ton of games than they can, kind of use Twitch as their service for helping out other areas of the game industry. Although, of course, they did buy Double Helix, so.
Yeah, and also you got to remember that Amazon has a lot of cloud servers, like their cloud services.
Yeah, this is purely like an infrastructure sort of deal. They needed to get bought out by something. It was just hoping that they didn't get bought out by their main competitor.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit about Ustream.
No.
But yeah, I mean, are you guys on board with this? Because obviously, Jonah, you are. And what do you guys think of Twitch in general before this sort of thing?
I'm not on board with it. I just don't use it very often, but I do have an account, and I noticed, I think it was the day that the buyout was announced, that I got an email that said, you have 3 days to archive all of your streams.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's going to make some people very unhappy.
That wasn't a direct result of that, though. They had actually...
Yeah, I know they had mentioned that before, but just...
the deal was probably in the works or whatever, but yeah, I mean, basically how it works now is that you can't just archive your streams anymore unless you upload them to YouTube, but you can archive highlights, I guess. So it's kind of like a de facto solution, I guess, because you can still get a lot of the same function out of it, but and you can download them right away and put them on YouTube. So it's not that big a deal. I feel like most people put their completed streams on YouTube.
But having said that, Amazon doesn't own YouTube, so are we gonna see problems with copyright claims?
Oh, jeez.
What do you mean? When they put the video on YouTube, or just from Twitch?
When they upload the video to YouTube to archive.
I think that depends on whether or not the content was something that they would have been putting on YouTube to begin with. If it's just a Let's Play, and there's no outside music, then I don't see any issue there.
I was just looking for, while I was writing the piece that I just finished, I was looking for, there's a YouTube user named Garudo who had an awesome channel that was 500 different videos of music from video games throughout, since the NES, I think, and it took me a while to remember his name, and I realized the reason it took me so long was because all his videos had been deleted because of copyright claims, and that's the kind of thing that super bums me out, because I used to listen to that all the time, and I know a lot of people put on Let's Plays just in the background while they're doing other things, and so anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was a music thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, music's very obviously that I think that is defended more than other areas just because they've lost so much the companies.
Well,
I think
this was game music though.
Yeah. But I think it would be wise of most game publishers to put soundtracks online, just because like no one would buy a game. Well, I shouldn't say no one. Most people are not going to buy a game just for the soundtrack. And the people who I feel like would search for something like that probably own the game already, and they just want to be able to listen to the music. Like when you're listening to that music, it's for a game you already own, right? Or a game you've played at least.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's also. I mean, they were like 30 minutes each, and they were basically like clips that he had recorded throughout the games, and then edited all the songs together. So basically, it was like it let you see or let you hear how music evolved throughout like the history of console gaming, and I think there were some PC games, but it was just really neat to hear that evolution, and his editing was really classy too, with just sort of making it all seamless from track to track, and
But anyway, back to this Amazon thing. We mentioned that they've been kind of getting into games for a while, but besides Double Helix, they've been hiring up some pretty big name talent. So Kim Swift, who was the designer of Portal, and Clint Hawking, who, if you don't recognize the name, he's still responsible for some of the biggest games from the last couple generations. He was the creative director on Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and then on Far Cry 2. And after that, he went to LucasArts. Wasn't there for very long. Then he was at Valve. He was there for I think a couple years or a year, and was working on something that hasn't been released yet. And then he went to Amazon. And of course, they launched the Fire TV, which is sort of mix of the Xbox One's features with like an Ouya, I guess is the best way to describe it. But maybe with a little more money behind it. The thing I found interesting, though, Game Informer put up these numbers. I think it actually came from the New York Times. Viewership with Twitch compared to other TV networks, cable networks. So there are, in recent months, it says Twitch's peak viewership has hovered around 700,000 concurrent viewers. That's CNN has 495,000 at their peak. E has 565,000. Which, I mean, CNN isn't great anymore, but the fact that I weep for humanity, and MTV 773,000. So Twitch is just under MTV in terms of concurrent viewers at their peak, which is crazy to me. And so if that can be, I'm gonna try inviting him one more time just for the hell of it. Tristan was supposed to be on, so. They need to find a better way to monetize it, I think, because they have ads, but I'm just not sure if they know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, I'm typing something.
Yeah.
But on the topic of Twitch, we're actually going to start trying to do some live streams, Jonah and I, from here at school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking we'll play games that we suck at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to try to get you playing Forza 5. I want to see you struggle. That'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, so Michael, you want to talk about this a little bit? We can fit it in here because I'm about to have a bunch of Nintendo sort of stuff come up.
Sure.
So, real quick before we do that, multiplayer has also been announced for Dragon Age Inquisition. It's going to be a co-op campaign that's separate from the main story. There's going to be like 3 different things, and there's a randomized element. Seems, kind of not in the same vein of Mass Effect 3, but that same sort of, I guess, idea that you can put these 2 things together and they can still work really well in a mainly story-centric game.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're going to move on. We have a bunch of Nintendo stuff to talk about. Most of it is good for once, but we do have a couple negative things at the end that are kind of unfortunate. So we're going to start off. Michael, you can take it away. There's I didn't put this in there, but there's Amiibo figurines that are now up for pre-order.
Yeah, so yesterday was a ton of news from Nintendo. None of it was really expected. There was a Japanese Nintendo Direct for 3DS games. I woke up sort of bleary-eyed, plugged my headphones in, and just sort of held my phone to my face because I'm nearsighted, and was sort of like half watching, and then I heard, and then I saw like Iwata go like this, and there was the new 3DS announcement, which we'll get to later. But then so I woke up and started typing that, and as I typed that, there was like this press release from Nintendo with all kinds of stuff for America, and one of those things was the Amiibo figures went up for pre-order on Amazon, and I've said a couple times I'm not really into Smash Brothers. I'm sure I will end up with both versions, but I did go and like pre-order all of them just because they all looked so nice. And I know Seth did as well, and I think Seth can actually probably speak to it more. But what I think is interesting is that, I only bought them all because I will buy them all because I want them.
Wait, you already pre-ordered all of them?
Yeah, I mean, I have like.
How expensive are they a piece? Like $10?
Yeah, how much are they?
$13. I have until the end of the year, to decide whether I'm going to cancel that, but I'm sure I won't. But what I thought was interesting is, at least as of earlier today, 3 of the figures had sold out, and it wasn't it wasn't the ones that you'd expect. It was Marth, which you kind of expect because Marth is cool from Fire Emblem, and it was Villager, and then it was Wii Fit Trainer.
Those are like the kind of the outcasts in that because
and I know
Mario.
Wii Fit Trainer was not actually one of the top sellers because
Maybe they just didn't make as many.
Yeah, exactly. They were short orders because basically you could look at Amazon's top sales in games earlier today, and Amiibos dominated the list, going all the way up to number 2. I don't know what the first place item was, but.
Yeah, I mean, as far as their technical, what they're trying to do with the games, I'm still not totally sold on that idea panning out, but the fact that they're just selling these figurines almost as collectibles makes me want them, makes me want to get them anyway.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you don't need more than one of them to do what they want you to do with the games, but it's just, they're also cool to have on your shelf.
Yeah, I would have really liked to have a Villager, but never mind.
Have you seen that GIF of the Villager and Mario? And he's pulling an onion, and then for one split of the frame, it changes to him thinking about ripping Mario's head off, and then it goes back to the onion.
I've not seen that.
It's pretty amazing.
No.
So
But Seth, what did you want to add to that? Because you were actually asking me. You were like, "Did you pre-order your figures yet?" And I was actually in the middle of doing it while I walked to a hardware store, on my phone, crossing the street, trying to order every toy that I could find on Amazon, and felt kind of silly.
I don't know. I mean, I guess from a it's just cool. Yeah, because obviously, like we were just saying, you only really need one for what you. I think they're all going to function the same. I think ultimately, but.
Well, how so?
Well, I mean,
like I said, I'm getting them as far as because they're collectible, and I don't know where I'll put them, but I thought it was you had to I thought that they each figure corresponded to that character in a game.
I think that they did say that, but I think that they haven't confirmed that it's not just a digital memory stick too.
It might be for one character per game, but how would that work with Wii Fit Trainer's not in Mario Kart, but the figurines are working in Mario Kart? Would they say
They probably just wouldn't all work in every game.
You just buy a Mario figure if you're not an idiot because Mario's in every game.
Yeah,
almost in another one, which we'll talk about in a bit.
I mean, I guess they've talked a lot about what they're going to function for, but they haven't said. This is the list of what they're going to do and nothing else.
They haven't done a very good proof of concept for the idea yet. It's very easy to see with Skylanders. It's here's your figurine, put it down on the portal or whatever it's called, and then there it is in the game. With this, it's there's information that you take from this game to that game, and you use this thing. And I'm sold on it because of the figurines, but the technology, what it actually does, I'm still skeptical of.
I mean, I'm buying them for the collectible value, or just for my own collectible, because I love just toys and collecting crap. And there's obviously plenty of official Nintendo merchandise, but I feel like they've never really had these more kind of I don't want to say advanced, but more
standard,
higher quality figure, I guess. I have a ton of Nintendo toys, but but in terms of the technology, I don't even think they don't really have any games that even use the technology in Amiibo yet. And
so Mario Kart, I think it's supposed to, and Smash. I think that's all they've confirmed so far.
But I mean, they haven't released anything yet that uses it, so no one really knows, 100% what they're gonna do, but I think they're gonna have some. I think personally that there maybe will have some specific features to each character, but they're also gonna work like all the same in some ways too. That's just me.
There were also a couple figures that they showed off when they first announced them that weren't available in this first batch. I can't remember. I think one was Zelda, and maybe there was a Toad or something. I can't remember. But I would be surprised if there wasn't some sort of support in Hyrule Warriors, because your characters level up in that. And there's so many characters in that game that you can play as, and there will be like DLC characters as well, that it just makes sense for them to like make figures of all of those characters.
Do you think they're going to limit this to just Nintendo figures, or do you think that other companies that are like big on Nintendo stuff are going to put it in their games? Like, do you think there'll be like a Mega Man?
I would expect a Mega Man. I don't know if you guys have checked your puzzle swap or whatever it's called recently, but there's a...
Lost him.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
oh, wait, he's back. He's back.
You froze up, Michael.
Oh. I was just saying that there's a Mega Man puzzle in the 3DS puzzle swap, so I would be surprised if there weren't Mega Man amiibo.
Yeah, I just think that unless they're going to release them all, then they can't be super specific. Because, like, what if someone's main character in Smash is Mega Man, and then he's not released, and then they can't use Mega Man in Smash if they go to their friend's house, or like how they've kind of explained some of the features of it, how you can, do the custom movesets and take them on your amiibo to your friend's house. But if they only release, a third of the roster, then I don't see them being that specific. But
well, also something to think about is this whole year for Nintendo, or at least the second half of the year, will be mashup games. Like even now, starting with Layton versus Ace Attorney, and like the new Mario Kart DLC that just got announced.
Right.
So I would be shocked if there wasn't some kind of sandbox game in the future, next year maybe.
That'd be interesting.
Like Skylanders.
I would love. I mean, I think we've talked about this before on the show. Like just a Nintendo Universe type style game, even if it was like Disney Infinity or Skylanders or even like Lego style. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just kind of... I was so happy when they finally announced Splatoon, because it was something so new. That the idea of mashing up everything again, like they've done with a few of their other games, I'm just kind of...
they were considering having Mario as...
I know, and that was actually... That's a good segue. I actually have that... I think I have that on my schedule. Splatoon was almost a Mario game. Let me copy and paste this link real quick. The story I have is from Joystick, but it's been reported at a bunch of different places.
A lot of places, yeah.
But yeah, like that's kind of what I'm talking about, though. That happens a lot. So the quote from Miyamoto, he said, "There were heated debates over who the main character should be, whether it should be Mario or the Squid. When we talked about the possibility of it being Mario, of course, we could think of the advantages. Anybody will be willing to touch it as soon as we announced that we had a new Mario game, but at the same time, we had some worries. If it were Mario, we wouldn't be able to create a new IP." The last part of that is what makes me happy, but the philosophy of Nintendo games, I think, is of how they create their games, I think was kind of to blame for why Mario's in so many. They create a gameplay kind of mechanic, and then they think, what character in our, library of IP would this work for? And so often it comes to Mario because he's a very versatile character. But I'm glad that they did something else, because I think Splatoon is very Nintendo, but it's still something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I was disappointed, or not disappointed, but when I read that, is because when I was watching the Splatoon announcement at E3, I thought, because they had like the teaser intro for it, and I thought it was a true sequel to Mario Sunshine, because it's kind of like the ink and stuff.
Yeah, someone mentioned that. I saw in a comment. They were like, "Didn't he have a water pack on his back in one of the games?"
Yeah, and just like that intro, there was like a 20-second thing, and it looked a lot like Mario Sunshine, and so I kind of, once I went to Splatoon, I was a little let down, but then Splatoon looks like it could be a lot of fun. But I'm glad that they definitely made a new IP, because why not try something new?
Yeah, I mean that was what Nintendo's charm was about for so long, that they were creating new stuff, and then that kind of stopped, and it became kind of like, we hope you like Mario and Zelda, because here's this game with a couple tweaks.
Splatoon Squid confirmed for Smash. Just
I saw someone say, like, there has to either that or it's going to be DLC.
Speaking of Smash Brothers, segue.
Yeah. So we have a lot of info. Seth wrote a big news story. There were a lot of leaks in terms of characters. We think we might have the final roster of characters, and there were a few that I didn't really expect that are going to be in Smash. So, Seth, you researched this. Just take it away, some of the weird ones.
So yeah, there was like a big kind of leak through the internets, and this week first it was through screenshots and stuff, supposedly saying that Bowser Jr., Shulk, Dark Pit, Dr. Mario, and the Duck Hunt dog were going to be playable. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to be playable.
So Dr. Mario was in Melee, but not Brawl, correct?
Correct. Yes, he was removed in Brawl, which I was very sad about. But yeah, so that was basically everyone. The Smash boards and such were afire after that, because everyone was contemplating, is it real, is it fake, yada yada. And kind of the big thing that everyone seemed to not discredit it right away was because all the images of the characters on the character select screen had unique art for the characters, where it wasn't just like a photoshopped grab that someone identified right away. So it was basically, this is either real or someone 3D modeled these characters and made them look fantastic and meshed them with all the other Smash Bros. 3D kind of character models.
I see Lucas is still missing, though.
Lucas is missing, and Ness was also kind of, he hasn't been officially confirmed yet.
I see him. I see him. He's in the bottom left, though, of this picture.
Yeah. They put him in that picture, and they actually have. He's like one of the characters that's selected in the leaked photos, and he has a unique.
There's no way Ness isn't in the game. He's been in every Smash game.
Right, but they were saying that someone, if they were faking it, that they would have just like cut his old kind of concept art for the screen select and put it in, but it's a brand new one. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, ultimately, then Nintendo released their Nintendo Direct yesterday and confirmed that Shulk was indeed actually in the game, which was interesting. I feel like it's kind of a funny move by Nintendo, not confirming everyone, but confirming one character, and they had a pretty awesomely rendered reveal trailer for him, so it seems like it was in the work. They didn't just reveal him because he was leaked. At least in my mind, because I don't think they would have produced that trailer in like 2 days. But
I've seen a lot of good videos coming from PAX too of gameplay running on that version. It just there's a Rainbow Road level too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hate Rainbow Road for once.
We're talking about the 3DS version still, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I was trying to look up something because I thought I had seen a screenshot that came from the Japanese eShop, and it does, but it doesn't actually show Ness because it just shows the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and Bowser Jr. as well.
I was just gonna say real quick, sorry, because I got sidetracked a little bit. But then the big thing with the leak was then someone leaked actual video footage, which is much harder to fake than screenshots. And that was when everyone kind of started to think that it really was real, or just a hacked version of Brawl, but that doesn't seem to.
The inclusion of Dark Pit seems weird to me. I would think that would just be a like a skin.
Even
even
Dr. Mario
before.
too. Yeah, he was a skin in Brawl. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Was Brawl the Wii version?
What's that?
Brawl is the Wii one, right? And Melee is the one that everybody
Melee is
likes.
the game. I like Brawl.
Competitive players like Melee. If you just like fun, you probably prefer Brawl because the character selection is better. But
I think it's mixed. I mean, a lot of people.
It's slow.
A lot of people complain about Brawl, but I think it's fantastic, and I play a lot with my friends. But
honestly, all that I remember about the difference between the two games is that every time I tried to play online, it was like watching a slideshow.
Well, at least you could try to play online.
I've never been able to play online with Brawl, and that was one of my biggest disappointments with it, actually.
They were playing
at launch.
They were playing Melee when I was at Google.
Oh yeah.
Really?
There was like a game room with like ping pong and an Xbox and a PlayStation and a bunch of computers. But most of the people that were in there were sitting around a small TV watching people play Smash Brothers on GameCube, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean it's and they still can't get past that people want the GameCube controller, and it's kind of obvious that they were some of the changes that we'll be talking about were made for Smash, and just the fact that the release dates aren't going to line up for America is a bit of an issue. But let's move on to another Nintendo sort of crossover, mixed-up series. Obviously, Mario Kart 8 came out in May, got rave reviews, and now we have information about a bunch of DLC, and some of it is stuff that you would not expect. And Michael, you wrote this story, and I think you have most of the scoop on it.
Yeah, so there are 2 DLC packs coming out for Mario Kart 8. The first one is in November, end of November, according to Nintendo in Nintendo America, and the second one is coming out end of May. And the first one is called The Legend of Zelda Cross Mario Kart 8, and it features 8 new tracks and 4 new karts, but it also features Link as a playable character, along with Tanuki Mario and Cat Peach. And I'm not really sure why it's The Legend of Zelda Cross Mario Kart 8 if it only has one Zelda character, but that's cool. We totally weren't expecting that at all.
Yeah, this is the thing that Black Nerd Comedy's kind of been. He was pushing for Super Smash Kart, which I think is a stupid idea.
Yeah, sure. That's what everybody's
saying. Oh, that's not a stupid idea. That's a great idea.
No, I'm sick of. I told you I'm sick of mashups, and I've kind of think putting Link into Mario Kart games dumb, but.
But they're also showing, some of the content is also stuff that people have been sort of asking for a while, but not really in this way. Like the Blue Falcon from F-Zero, which is I think Captain Falcon's like hover kart, though it was like one of the main ones before he was even in the series. The Blue Falcon is the new vehicle, and there's at least one F-Zero themed track. So again, not really sure why it's Zelda cross Mario Kart. It's really just mashup cross Mario Kart. But there are also some old tracks, some other classic tracks that are coming. And I think I'm looking at a track right now on their collage. It looks like it's inspired by Excite Bike, so that's kind of weird and interesting. But I guess it makes sense. And then the other one comes out the end of May, and it's Animal Crossing Cross Mario Kart 8, and it has the villager and Isabelle, who's that like dog thing that is your secretary in Animal Crossing New Leaf, and then Dry Bones. Or Dry Bowser, I guess he's just called, which is like Bowser after the lava.
It's so morbid to me.
Yeah, it's
lava.
Yeah, I guess you can pre-order them now. Some people are kind of being weird about that. Like, why should I pay now for something I'm not going to get until May and November? And you don't have to, but if you do buy them both, you get at least some new content, sort of, now, which is multicolored Yoshis and Shy Guys, which, as lame as it sounds, because it's just basically the Mario Kart equivalent of horse armor, multicolored Yoshis are really cute, and I like the black Yoshi, and that's my new character. Yeah, if you buy them each individually, they're $8, or you can buy them together for $12. And nobody's making you pre-order them, so.
Yeah. I think they're really.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think the thing that's really substantial about this is all the new tracks. I mean, like, how many does the base game have? Like
32.
The base game has 32 tracks, so this is 50% extra.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what really blew my mind. Is like, wow, that's a lot of tracks. Like that's. Yeah, that's definitely worth $12.
And you can tell this isn't like a thing with like where Call of Duty 2 months after release, puts out their first map pack. This is coming out like 6 months after the game, where people probably put it away, and this is not. The thing about like those types of games is you have the game and you're having fun with it, and eventually you get taken out of it because people have stuff you don't. This is a situation I think where most people will have put the game down already, and this brings them all back into it if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't
yeah.
remember which one of my friends was saying it, but one of my online writer friends was saying it. But I think we all kind of probably play or most of us probably play Mario Kart the same way, like the hardcore Mario Kart fans, which is that we get the game, we rush through it in a weekend and unlock everything, and then play it every once in a while when you have people over.
Yeah.
And so this is a good way to like remind yourself like how much fun it is, and obviously like keep people talking about it throughout the year, which is just like a way of, obviously it's another way for them to sell more copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously Nintendo games kind of sell a long time. What were you saying, Seth?
I was saying just the one thing, not to put a sour note on it, but the one thing that I'm still waiting for is Battle Arena Pack DLC instead of tracks.
Yeah.
It ruins doing battles when you have to be going around the loops like that to me.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, yeah. I mean, I think the game's fantastic, and more tracks is just phenomenal, but I don't see why they can't just put out battle arenas.
Yeah, I don't like the battle mode of Mario Kart 8. Having said that, because the recent update, the free update, also added stat tracking. I will say that somehow, even though I feel like I haven't played any battle mode, somehow I've managed to pop 20 of my own balloons. So.
So, moving on to a different Nintendo fighting game that looks, in theory, like the best thing ever, Pokken Tournament.
Pokken Tournament.
Yeah.
What's a Pokken, Tristan?
Pokken.
Oh, wait, he's not here.
So Tristan wrote this piece. It's a crossover of Pokemon and Tekken being developed, I believe, by Namco Bandai.
Correct.
Bandai Namco.
Yeah, come on.
Fuckers changing your name like that. So it's basically just a fighting game where Pokemon beat each other up, and the trailer is Machamp versus Lucario.
Yeah.
It's all. That's
Yeah,
it.
no, yeah, give it to me, please. And the fact that they just named it Pokken, that is the ballsiest move in 2014, especially
Still
by
with the
Nintendo.
accent symbol over it, but over the E.
Exactly. Think about
this.
it. Like Namco and Nintendo, at least recently, have been the two safest game companies. You know what I'm saying? Like just not really taking anything risk.
Here's the 17th Dragon Ball Z game in the past 2 years.
Exactly, and then they make frickin' Pokken.
I've got the small Pokken.
Yep.
Now I think this is Wii U only.
Yeah.
It says a vague 2015 Japan arcade release was given with no word on other regions or platforms yet. They'd be stupid not to bring this to Wii U.
Oh yeah.
Especially
when I said I meant I don't think so. It's arcade.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really?
I wasn't agreeing to something that was factually incorrect, that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Sorry.
So anyway, especially after this is coming, after the GameCube adapter stuff, it makes really good sense for this to be coming to the Wii U.
Speaking of the GameCube adapter, do you guys think that we are finally? Do you think that also opens the door for GameCube emulation on Wii U? I mean, do you think that that's one of the reasons they made that adapter? Surely it can't.
It was pure.
No.
I think it was just for Smash.
It's purely for Smash.
I think the GameCube games would run okay using the GameCube controller, or using the Wii U controller, especially for single player games. But for lots of people local, which is what Smash is known for, they want.
Well, we'll talk about GameCube emulation in another context later.
Yeah, I don't see it not being used for helping GameCube emulation get put on the Wii U, but I mean that adapter was made purely for Smash, because if they didn't release that game or the adapter, then people would have.
It would suck. I didn't want to use a Pro controller to play Smash.
Yep, people would have.
What I would have had to end up doing. I
How
never.
cool is it that they're releasing new hardware for a 12-year-old video game console?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, this is kind of stupid and a little bit off the topic, but people also were saying, why didn't they just make like a Wii U version of the GameCube controller, like a new wireless? And a lot of people complain because hardcore Smash players don't like wireless, they don't play with wave.
They're kind of doing that too.
Because they need the split second of a wired controller, which I don't think is really necessary, but I'm sure happy that they're releasing that adapter.
Jonah 60 frames per second Ort over there is shaking his head.
Oh my god. Well, oh no. I'm just saying. I think that people that complain about like input lag on
Well,
live
you know,
streams are
we
insane. Those people
when I was back at
should
our
be
last
locked up.
site,
I agree with
we were
you.
both there. We ran a Smash Brothers tournament, and the Smash Club there, they made us use their CRT TVs for the tournament. They would not use HD TVs.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, stuff like that.
Ridiculous. Yeah. I mean.
They were using CRTs at Google.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, yeah.
My 2 cents on the whole like GameCube emulation thing, like opening it up. I think it would be. I think it's kind of crazy if they're just releasing this adapter just for Smash, because if you think about how like insanely not supportive they've been recently to the Smash community, it just seems like really weird and out of character. If you remember about like last year's Evo, they were pulling, like licensing rights to play.
Yeah, but I mean,
but then they like sponsored it the next year, and they did eventually.
They did a complete reverse of that. I don't think it's necessarily fair to think to say that they're not supporting the community. And that was last year, and this year, like they obviously want the support of like the hardcore players because those are the people that are going to talk about the new game. And plus they've been doing these tournaments. They did that like Smash Invitational or whatever at E3.
Yeah,
which was cool. I watched a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I just hope that they have a good roster. Because I feel that Pokemon is the sort of thing where everyone has their favorite, and there's like 700 or something of them at this point.
Oh yeah,
too many.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait,
for sure.
Did we segue into that GameCube thing? Because you were saying you want to use the GameCube controller with that game. Is that what you were saying?
I was saying with Smash. With this, I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Probably not, because I doubt the control. I bet the control scheme of this is going to be more similar to Tekken.
Yeah.
In which case, the Pro Controller will probably be fine.
Right.
But Smash is such a kind of unique setup compared to other fighting games.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, in terms of like which Pokemon would work, obviously not every Pokemon is going to be good for this, especially since they're all scaled differently. Like, what's the Pokemon? What is what's it called? Is it Magikarp? The floppy one.
Yes.
Yeah, he turns into the huge.
Gyarados.
Yeah. That thing is like supposed to be what, like 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it's fighting like a Lucario who's like 6 feet. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be weird.
They'll probably fudge the sizes a bit.
Yeah, they're probably gonna have to, but like, I wonder which Pokemon are gonna be included.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. They haven't given like a firm release window yet, right? They just said like next year.
Mm-hmm.
So. I mean, I'm sorry, I was asking a question. They didn't give a firm release window yet, did they?
It just says next year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll give that. I mean, any Pokemon is going to be huge for them, so they'll be pushing out the info, I'm sure. ASAP.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like first gen Pokemon would probably just be more recognizable, which only one of these two shown is. But Lucario's been in a Smash game at this point, so everyone knows who he is. Yes, it is, I guess.
We're still talking about Pokken?
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Greninja wasn't in it.
Probably,
Yeah.
Jimmy Puff's the best.
I want my boy Scizor.
What do you want?
Idiot.
What's the one? What's the one I like? It's
my favorite.
The big B.
My favorite is Faux Shizzle.
Who?
Faux Shizzle.
Is that Snoop Dogg's Pokemon?
Moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, so now the bad news.
Let's hear it.
So Nintendo of Europe is laying off about 320 workers. 190 of these were temporary agency workers, is the term used. And I believe we just put up a story about it. I have a Eurogamer story up from it before, but I'll pull up the one that we just did. So this was all in. Most of these were in their main offices, main European offices, but some of them were also in their localization office in Germany, which Obviously, Iwata had said before that layoffs were not a good idea, but this has changed, and I don't know. Obviously, layoffs suck. Whether this is a sign of the times or whether they're just diverting resources to something else, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, bummer.
Yeah, there's not much to say about it other
Pretty
than
much bummer.
Yeah.
that sucks. I mean, you hear about that stuff all the time.
So I
But
don't
the
know.
thing is, you don't actually hear it all. You don't ever hear it from Nintendo.
Yeah, you never
Right.
really.
True.
They sort of, if you look at some of the creative staff that's working on even like the new Super Mario Brothers games, like these are people who've been working for Nintendo since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Even people in smaller roles have been there forever. So at least in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not done talking about people leaving, but we'll talk about one more later. That's not quite as high profile, we'll say, because it's not a layoff or anything. But now some good news, sort of. Depends on whether you like the games that were announced, but both PlayStation Plus and Xbox's Games with Gold got their games announced for next month. I believe the PlayStation ones go live a day before the Xbox ones, or actually Xbox might be live on Monday, on the 1st, I believe. So, PlayStation Plus, one AAA game and a bunch of indie games like they've been doing for several months now. If you're on PS3 as well as Vita, because it's a cross-buy title, you get PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which I'm very excited about because I almost just bought that game on Vita because I finally wanted it, as well as Velocity 2X, Sports Friends, which is, I guess you can get it on PS4 and PS3, which is cool, and then Joe Danger, and there was one other one. What was it called? Hordes or something along that line? Horde, that's it.
A strategic action game where you play as a dragon and try to collect as much gold from the village as you can.
It's Trogdor, basically.
Yeah, I've never seen it in action, but I remember seeing some screens a while ago and thinking, oh, that looks awesome. But,
So I was bitching about this a little bit, and it wasn't because I don't think that these games are good. It's just that I don't feel like the service has been offering the same value that it did last year, because the total sum that it would cost you to pay for these games yourself isn't all that high. Even PlayStation All-Stars has been heavily discounted several times.
Well, sure, but you're still getting, say just ballpark figure, you're still getting $60 or $70 worth of free games this month.
But that's compared to where they were releasing. You were getting 5 PS3 games a month, and they were all mostly AAA games.
Well, the thing is, they have to get third-party publishers to agree to release their AAA games free through this service and thus cannibalize their own sales. That's a lot easier to convince indie devs because that gives their game exposure.
I mean, totally, and especially on PS4, it's very hard to do when these games have just come out. But if you just were to add up the cost of what these games would cost to buy this year compared to the total cost of the PS3 and Vita games mostly last year that they were giving away on PS Plus, it's not very close. They were giving away more value in terms of how much it would cost to get these games last year.
Totally. I just don't. I don't ever really think about it that way because I just sort of think well, I paid, what is it, $60 or $50?
It's 60 now. Well, unless you do what I do and buy it on Black Friday, in which case it's $35.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine at a discount, but maybe 40. But I just think it's $60 for a year worth of games that I will probably play less than 10% of them. Mm-hmm. Because it's sort of even though I subscribe to it and I get excited for some of the games, it's sort of like Steam sales where you buy a bunch of cheap stuff
and then you forget about it.
You never play it, and it's just sort of having them. It's the same. It's sort of the same as people I know who have their who used to have their DSs hacked and they would just download every ROM. And they wouldn't appreciate the games. They wouldn't play through them because they'd have 100 on there, and it'd be you have so much choice that you just don't ever focus on something because you don't have to pay for it, and you're not worried about getting your money's worth. You just sample.
I mean, the thing is, though, like, I was really jealous of the people who had PS3s, you know, when PS Plus was really pushing that stuff, because people were getting games like Uncharted 3, like a year after it came out, that's it, for free. And God of War, and
I guess Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah, Sleeping Dogs, which eventually Xbox Games with Gold did that as well. And now it's like, last month, Proteus I played once, said this is boring, never played it again. Metrico was not very good. There's one game, I mean, Fez as well. But the last couple games that I've like really enjoyed on PS Plus were like Sly Cooper and then Muramasa. Both those games I played a lot of. But I just want to play more than one a month like that.
Well, tell us what's on Xbox.
So, on Xbox, it's not too much better. There's not as many games, and I have all of them already, I believe, in some form or another. So the first one is my favorite game, favorite new game, I guess, because Diablo 3 was out before. Super Time Force is free for Xbox One owners. Crimson Dragon is still free from last month. I hate that they do this. Instead of giving 2 free games, they're just rolling one over. It's a kind of a fuck you to people who were in the program before, and Crimson Dragon is not worth your time. But Super Time Force it's fantastic. Play it. On 360, you get 2 really good games, one of which is a few years old, one of which is much newer. Monaco, What's Yours Is Mine, which is a top-down puzzle heisty sort of game. It's got good reviews all around, and Halo Reach, which is from 2010. So, I don't know. Last month we got like, the month before we got like Guacamelee, and we've gotten Halo Spartan Assault, Max the Curse of Brotherhood, but no real big games have come to Xbox One yet. I'd say this is probably the highest profile game that's come to Xbox One on this program. Certainly the highest quality. So,
excuse me.
Say.
I was just going to say, do you think that, in terms of what you're saying for quality and price and games like that, like during this holiday kind of next couple months of like the biggest game releases of the year, you think it's going to they're going to give less, kind of quality or more?
Well, in terms of how much the stuff costs, I actually think it's going to go up. My prediction is most likely that they're going to start giving away some launch games as PS Plus games around the holidays when they're selling a lot more new stuff like they are. You might see, especially with it on the PC now, and it's not such a big deal, Rise might become a Games with Gold thing. Obviously, Sony's been doing a lot more of like release a game and make it free immediately, but maybe you'd see Killzone as something like that. Knack is much more likely. But yeah, I see it going up because there's just going to be a lot more to choose from. But there's a lot of growing pains in putting a program out like this when there's not a big library.
Yeah, exactly. They can't afford to sell launch games yet until there's a bigger library.
And Curve Digital was very, very, I wouldn't say critical of this program, but they were dismissive of the people who said they should like make all their games available with PS Plus as soon as they came out, because they've done that with several ports. And I think they did it with like Stealth Inc. They had Proteus was a Curve Digital game. And there were a few other ones. What was it? They did the port of Thomas Was Alone, but they said the Swapper, which is a really, really well-received game from them, they said at least right away it's not going to be on the program because we can't afford to do that. And you'd think Sony would foot the bill more than enough because they want to, make their service more appealing. So that's kind of disheartening to hear.
Yeah, I've tried to ask a couple of developers when I've had FaceTime with them, what are the benefits to you? And they like cannot talk about it. Like, obviously the benefit is exposure, but they can't talk about like
price,
any kind of incentives.
One of the developers, one of the guys that created one of the games in Sports Friends that I follow, he was just posted something the other day that says he's expecting. It just said, I expect a ton of like haters and criticism when our game launches free for PS Plus. I thought that was kind of interesting. He just like almost seemed really negative about it, like he's bummed. But I don't know. It was just an interesting, like, just one, like, a thing on Twitter he posted. I read that.
Well, I think it's the same thing as I was kind of saying earlier. It's like people aren't invested in something when they get it for free, so they're easy to just go in and it's easy for them to go in and say like, what is this shit? Fuck this game. I don't know what this is. I
Yeah.
don't want to stand on my lawn or whatever.
I don't feel about that with like this sort of thing though, because Sports Friends was what, like a $15 game,
Yeah.
and so was Super Time Force, and I paid for it several months ago, and it's $15. You've played it already. You've had several months to play it. Now people get it for free. Like I don't really think that argument holds water. If they did that with something like Killzone or Infamous and now made it free for everyone, that would be a fuck you, because that game was $60, but it's $15.
Well, maybe
Anybody
that's why
download
they're
that
doing
Infamous add-on, by the way?
I didn't
No.
yet. I want to though when I have some time, because I love that game.
Me neither.
this. Yeah,
But
I'd rather just go pop the disc in and play more, complete it more. Than
The
buy
disc.
that.
Physical media master race.
Old timer.
Look at it. Look at it.
I just really like what you said.
Yo, I'm just saying, all I have to
Hey,
do
man,
is say Xbox.
I know. I got
plays
them
it.
where I can't avoid it.
Yeah.
What was that, Jonah? You broke up a little bit.
I said, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I can just say Xbox play Diablo and it just plays it, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I bought that on PS4.
I
But
tell my PS4 to play Diablo, and it's like, get up and buy the game then, asshole.
and you should. You fucking prick, because it's amazing.
Fucking
Well, I wanted to, but
Yeah, I
I
almost
didn't.
bought it this week, but I didn't get it.
I don't think I
So
will.
good.
I hadn't played, and we'll talk about this a little bit. I was thinking about writing a review, but at this point, I think I'm just going to run out of time because Destiny's coming out soon. But Diablo 3 Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Edition, which includes Diablo 3, and they kind of put that in the corner.
Ultimate Evil Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ultimate Evil Edition. Excuse me. Boy, I haven't played a game that I've been addicted to. Like I beat that game in a few days just because I was playing it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And
Oh yeah.
I honestly, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if I'd been playing it with a keyboard and mouse, because it feels like it's really fit for that controller, especially with the class I was playing, which involved a lot of aiming and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boy, and even the story isn't bad. I expected the story to be like horrible. It's got some twists in there I wasn't expecting.
I can't really vouch for the story, but you know that like I definitely still think, like, even as someone who plays a lot of PC games, I still find just the pointing and clicking, just jarring. Like having to move, like I always wish that game had WSAD controls for your character. And yes, I like it way more on console, which is really weird.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Was it like frickin' RuneScape? You had to click?
Yeah. I mean, you could hold it down, like you'd hold down the mouse where you'd go and stuff, but like it just felt weird. Like the entire time I was just like, I wish I could just use WSAD and move my character. And yeah, it's just.
Back
I haven't
before I
played
started
it.
WoW. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
I was just saying I haven't played a Diablo game since the first one, and I played it both on PC and PlayStation, and the PlayStation version was horrible. But that was only because of like technical limitations.
Yeah. This game's not exactly pushing the bar, although they did have trouble getting to 60 frames per second, which is kind of scary to me on Xbox One.
Yeah.
They sacrificed the frame rate a little bit to make sure it was at 1080p. But yeah, it's funny. Back before I started playing World of Warcraft, which I haven't played in a few years, I had a friend who had only played that, and we were all playing RuneScape. And so he decided to see what all the hype was about, and he couldn't figure out how to move because he was used to doing WASD.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in terms of technical limitations,
Wow.
yeah, wow.
And ports sacrificing things.
1 million troops. So Metro Redux is out. Jonah and I have been playing it, and Foray Games. I'm gonna butcher this dude's name. Oles Shishkovstov.
Shish kebab.
It's not shish kebab, but I wish it was. He spoke with Digital Foundry. They're Eurogame. If you're not familiar, they're Eurogamers. Graphics whores who talk about all the ins and outs of the technical limitations, and they do all the side-by-side comparisons with the frame rate tracker in the bottom and all that stuff. And he talked a little bit about this port, which he said they had 6 months to work with the PS4 and 4 months with the Xbox One to get this game out, and that they hit 60 frames on both, but they're thinking about doing 30 frames for a new game on next gen because they want to put a lot more stuff on screen at once. And that seems kind of in the reverse of a lot of games now. They see that people care about frame rate so much that they're trying to hit those marks above anything else.
Yeah, at least personally, I would much rather play a game at 720 at 60 frames per second. Like,
like Dark Souls, Jonah? Like Dark Souls?
Yeah, like Dark Souls, dude. You got to get those frames right. If you're one frame off on that roll, man, you're going to get hit. You're going to get crushed.
So I've only played a couple levels of it, and I had a technical issue because there's a bug on the Xbox One version right now that basically you have to play the game offline if you want to get past the first couple missions. And you're going to be putting out the review, but give us, first impressions based on, what you've dealt with on the PC version of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you were saying earlier when we were talking, that you didn't really see a big difference between 2033's graphics and Last Light's graphics.
On 360, Last Light on 360 compared to this.
Yeah, and I guess I can see a big difference because I tried playing the original 2033 actually way earlier in the summer, and I just couldn't play it because that PC port was garbage, absolute trash. And so playing it now, I got on very high, got that anti-aliasing up, and
no jaggies for you, my friend.
No jaggies, and it was just 60 at all times. It was awesome. So yeah, I can really, that's the one thing I'll be a stickler about. Some people are real sticklers about resolution, 1080 versus 720p, but for me it's all about frame rate. I remember going from Forza Horizon to Forza Motorsport 4, and the difference is like night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day.
So, and we won't give away too much because we want, obviously, to read the review. Someone's ad is showing up in my video. Oh God, Naomi Kyle is talking to me. Okay, so next we're just going to go through these a little bit quicker before we get to our featured story, which we're going to spend a good amount of time on. Hello, Birdie. So, Dave Cox has left Konami. He was the producer for a long time on the Castlevania series, starting with project management on Symphony of the Night, and then he led development of the Lords of Shadow games with Mercury Steam. Hasn't announced his next project, but a lot of people think that Mercury Steam may have been working on Contra. We'll see if that's actually the case. But, yeah, I wanted to mention this.
Metroid Prime 4.
Why do you think that?
What?
Just to hear Seth go, what?
And Michael, you've had some time to play with this. Bioshock is now out on iOS for $15.
Yeah, so I've actually played, I don't know how far I am, I just got the camera. So what is that, a third of the way?
Maybe. I actually have not gotten very far in the original Bioshock because I have it on my Mac and I hated it.
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty far. I played through the first two Big Daddies with touchscreens, with the touchscreen, and it performs pretty well. I think it's probably sub 30 frames, but not too far below that. But it looks pretty. I think it looks pretty great for a portable rendition of Bioshock. Having said that, I think the only reason it doesn't look just like the Xbox 360 version is because of Apple's file size limitations, which I don't know if you guys remember, but those existed on Xbox 360 arcade games a while ago too, and sort of But anyway, the first Big Daddy just kind of destroyed me, and not because I suck, but because it was just too hard to hammer the button on screen for health and move around and switch weapons and then ammo types. So then, the game has controller support, but officially you can only use these really shitty but $80 iOS only controllers. So I jailbroke my iPad, which I haven't done that in probably at least a year. I haven't had a jailbroken iOS device, but it's so easy to do. And then I paid for a $2 tweak that lets you use any Bluetooth controller. And so now I'm playing it with a DualShock 4, and it just feels like I'm playing Bioshock with like low-end PC settings and no dynamic shadows. The game, by the way, is still scary even without the dynamic shadows because the sound design is still excellent. You still have like positional audio. What was I gonna say? But yeah, I don't know. At that point, it just feels like it's great that it's on a phone or an iPad, but it just feels like, okay, now I'm sitting at my desk playing on a tiny computer monitor, so it doesn't feel like I'm playing tablet anymore. But I think it's cool. I think that a lot of people are just going to dismiss it because it's a first-person shooter on a touchscreen, and those are like fair. Those are valid complaints, but hats off to them for trying at least. They saw that they had success with XCOM on iOS, and they were like, well, let's try something new. And I don't think this is as successful as that by any means, but it definitely still works. Oh, the one thing I was going to say was kind of strange is that they removed the jump button. There's no way to jump. And there's really only one or two.
Bird does not like that.
I know. Well, he actually does. He's singing. There's only one or two places where I've like really needed to jump so far, and haven't been able to. And it's like, instead of running in front of a turret and zapping it in like Fontaine Fisheries or whatever it's called, I would like jump over a rail and sneak up behind it and hack it. And I can't do that now. And like the part at the very beginning where the like splicer throws a flaming pillar at you downstairs, you now basically just have to like push yourself up against the edge of it and go around it. But otherwise, it's Bioshock. It's pretty good.
So before we get to our last story, one thing to mention at PAX, a Saints Row 4 expansion got announced, and it's called Gat Out of Hell, and like you can guess, it takes the Third Street Saints to hell. It's about half the size, I guess, the game world as the whole map was for Saints Row 4, and the games will be coming, of course, because it's Xbox One and PS4, and this is what happens, is they will now be coming to Xbox One and PS4. So if you like Saints Row 4, which I'm not crazy about, it's more for you, and you can literally go to hell.
Yeah.
So
there's a locust gun. That's pretty cool. Sure. Locust.
Fire and brimstone for days. So last and biggest piece of news came out of nowhere: a new 3DS, and not just a new model, like kind of a new system. Maybe we're in generation like what is it, 8.5 at this point now because of this.
Yep.
So, Michael, you wrote the story, and you were up to get all the deets. So, you can probably explain better than me exactly what this brings new to the table.
It brings a whole bunch of new stuff to the table. The most apparent change when you just sort of look at it from the front is there's a little, like it looks like an IBM trackpad, like those little mouse nubs from like the late 90s.
Oh god.
We had those in my computers in high school.
Actually, if you look at my logo, you can see it. But it's a second circle pad, and on the back of the system are another pair of shoulder buttons. They're kind of like, obviously the bottom of the system is not double height now. They're like set in closer to where the cartridge slot used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like the classic controller.
So they moved the cartridge slot then to the bottom left.
They moved the cartridge slot to the front edge, and you basically have Circle Pad Pro built in now. That's the most obvious change when you look at it, but there's a whole bunch of other changes. One of them, which is actually the most interesting to me, is that they have head tracking technology built into the camera now, so that you can look at the you can see the 3D from the sides, which you couldn't before. And I guess I was reading through like a Google translation of the Nintendo page about it, and apparently they're calling it like camera destabilization or something, or stabilization. That it also like helps. It basically, the point is like it keeps it so that when you're like moving the system, like even if it's not your fault, you can still see the 3D effect, which I think is really awesome. But it like keeps going from there. There's
the NFC stuff under the bottom touchscreen, I think, is the coolest thing to me.
Yeah, so there's built-in NFC support, which we kind of talked about Amiibo earlier. We don't know what that'll be for, except for putting plastic figures on your screen yet, which I'm not actually really into the idea of, but I'll get a screen protector and it's fine, whatever. We don't know what that'll be for, but there's also, I guess the really biggest change is it's got a faster processor. I think it has more RAM and video RAM, which makes the whole system a lot snappier from the sort of mock-up comparison videos that they showed. It makes Miiverse actually usable on the 3DS, and it speeds up downloads by a whole lot, apparently. But I guess the most interesting thing is that there's going to be exclusive software for this version of the 3DS, which is right now in Japan being called New 3DS.
They're going to have to think of a better name for that to make sure people know.
And the only game that they have shown so far that makes use of this new oomph is a port of Xenoblade Chronicles, which made a lot of people crazy on Twitter, and then even more crazy when they realized they have to buy a new 3DS to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But what do you guys think about this?
I'm on board, but I think maybe that's because I was ready to get the 3DS XL, because I bought day one. I had the 3DS,
right,
the second GameStop opened, I got it. So at this point, I was already ready to upgrade. I think also the one thing you didn't mention is that the faceplates are now removable.
Well, that's on the small version only.
Yes, but only on the small version. The XL version, which I think a lot of people are probably going to get, didn't do that, and I don't know why they would do that.
Well, one thing that I read, I can't remember whose article it was, but somebody was saying that the smaller system with the interchangeable faceplates could be something that is targeted for kids, basically. It's the cheaper, more throwaway system. And the thing you have to remember is that the 2DS was not released in Japan, which is kind of funny if you think about it. For America and Europe, Nintendo's hey, parents who are afraid of technology, here's a version of the system that won't burn your kid's eyes out. And in Japan, they're hey guys, here's a version with even better 3D. But yeah, I guess the smaller, the regular non-LL version, XL version, the screen is half an inch bigger.
Yeah, it looks it's a little bit bigger than the regular 3DS now.
It's 3.5 versus 3.88, I think. But and then on the smaller version, also the buttons are colored after a Super Famicom controller and logo.
Yeah.
And
But most likely only in Japan.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have one next month. I just have to sell some things to pay for it. But
it's still going to be region locked, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be region locked. But there's, I mean, I used to have a Japanese 3DS when I was freelancing more for IGN, and I sold it because I wasn't ever using it. But there were also games that I never bought that I wanted, like EX Troopers, which is a Lost Planet spin-off for PS3 and 3DS. That looks really great, and plenty of other stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
The weird thing is, I guess the SD card is harder to get to now, and you can use a micro SD card or a mini SD card instead of the regular one. I'm not sure if you have to or not.
Yeah, you have to. It's micro SD only.
So that's going to be more expensive to get the same amount of.
It'll probably ship with one. Just
I'm
like
sure
it
has to ship with something at least. But I was reading their FAQ, and they were saying that it officially supports. They were saying it supports 16 gigabyte and 32 gigabyte capacity, which kind of worried me because, when I eventually upgraded my US system to that, assuming there's a color scheme I want, I have a 64 gigabyte SD card, and I need that. My 32 gigabyte filled up. So
I think mine's too. I still have the one that came with the original 3DS. I just never upgraded it.
But having said that, at least for the Japanese system, I won't need that much space because there really won't be that many games that I buy for it. But I mean, what do you guys all think about it? I'm on board.
I think this is. I I have.
What is
I
that
go
noise
full-
I hear?
That's my grandma's cat getting mad about my cat existing.
Because it sounds like your grandma's singing.
Yeah, I was thinking that was your grandmother.
No, it's just a cat growling. Just I don't know. You can
Okay.
pretend it's my grandma singing. Go ahead.
What does your cat think about it?
No, I mean, I'll go ahead. Yeah.
Okay,
My
let me
cat
put it
thinks
this
I
way.
do
What do you guys
fine.
think about? What do you guys think about the fact that 3 years after the launch of the original 3DS, that there's basically a version now that makes the other version obsolete?
I think that sucks. I mean, I have I have an XL and a regular one, and I'll definitely be buying this new one at launch. No doubt about it. But I don't know. It's Nintendo. I wrote something a long time ago about how I was just really mad with Nintendo and their
I
handheld.
remember. On IGN, right?
Yeah. And like the DS had just too many versions, and like I owned like 3 different ones. And granted, I buy them because I'm a Nintendo fan and I can't resist it. But like, it's just frustrating. They should have a better like upgrade plan or something in stake or.
They've had to kind of retcon a lot, more so with the 3DS than with the Wii U at this point. But
I wrote about this, and unfortunately, you guys didn't get to read it because I published it literally as we were trying to start the show. But I think that there's a few different reasons why something like this is necessary. Part of the reason is, I don't know if you guys follow their financial reports, but they sold, I think, 1.5 million or a little more 3DSs worldwide last year. This year, they for first quarter, and this year they have only sold half that, like 860,000. So sales are slumping. It's the same thing that's happening. I mean, obviously it's been going on longer with the Vita, but sales are slumping, and they're obviously not ready to move on from the 3DS, even if they wanted to. I'm sure that their hardware isn't, whatever their next gen hardware isn't at the point where it's cost effective for them to release it. So they need to do something to regenerate interest, and this is one way to do that.
But the cost effective thing you mentioned, every time one of these new systems launches, the company loses money for a while. And Nintendo used to be able to get around that. They'd still be selling at a profit at launch, but they couldn't do that with the 3DS after a few months. So don't you think that, even with the slumping sales, that means they're going to be, going even more into the red, launching what's effectively a new system?
I mean, it's hard to say. It depends on how many exclusives. I mean, look, the 2DS isn't a big seller for them at all. And that was meant to revitalize the market. I mean, I have a European one. I don't ever use, but I bought it because it's white, and it wasn't a big seller for them, even though it was launched with Pokemon bundles. People still bought the 3DS, and if this gets must-have exclusive titles, it'll sell. It absolutely will. But at the same time, like, I kind of think about it the same way as I think about the DSi, which is also another point that I made in the piece that I wrote, which is that that system did have some exclusive titles in the form of I know there was a few retail titles that were exclusive, but in the form of some in the form of the DSiWare, that really great stuff like Shantae 2 and Flipnote Studio. But
the other one, Dark Void Zero.
Dark Void Zero, Mighty Switch Force, Mighty Milky Way, or not Switch Force, Mighty Flip Champs, and Art Style Pictobits. Like, these are all some of my favorite DS games you can only get via download. But the thing is, like, even though the DSiWare shop was not a great shopping experience and the technology wasn't great, it sort of paved the way for what they did with the eShop, and it kind of put them in good with indie developers at the time, who are now making a killing on the eShop. So the way I look at it is, even though we don't know yet what it's really going to be like when it launches, it's pretty likely that whatever they have going on in the new 3DS is going to inform what they do with their next system.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, there's that part of me that's upset about like buying a new system and stuff like that, but then I'm also extremely excited about the changes and like having the faster CPU is awesome because the 3DS is a little sluggish.
It is.
From like switching out of a game into the home menu, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the little like Circle Pad Pro or whatever they're calling that little nubbin thing.
C-Stick.
The C-Stick. Are they officially calling it that?
Yeah, in Japan.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and it's. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I think not on the chat, but or not on the video podcast, but is that I was really surprised that this is not releasing with Smash Brothers.
Well, it is in Japan.
In Japan, well, it's coming out after, like a month after.
Right, but their Smash Brothers bundles in Japan
Okay.
Are the new, unless they're releasing basically ones that look almost identical when they're closed, except one has extra shoulder buttons. Because I know mid-October, or actually I think it's beginning of November, they're releasing this as a Smash Brothers themed. It might not be, the game might not be bundled with it, but
See, I mean, there's a lot of people that are buying 3DSs just for Smash Bros. And
the thing is, I don't think that Nintendo of America knew about this. We're very, very far ahead, and that's not abnormal. But
it's not good either.
It's not good, but it's just sort of how things are done when you have a Japanese company with an American subsidiary, and they can't obviously they've been working on their holiday plans for a long time, and they would have to scrap those completely and start fresh, and they would also have to deal with the fact that maybe it'll be changed, maybe the name will be changed when it comes out here, but they also have to deal with the fact that the system is called New 3DS, which is going to cause no end of confusion in America and Europe, not so much in Japan.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, yeah, I agree. I guess that's definitely all true. And Smash isn't like the only game that has the end all game that everything needs to be released around, but as much as it sells for Nintendo and the lengths that they go to make the community happy for Smash, even though a lot of people think that they don't, but like releasing the the GameCube adapter specifically for Smash is huge.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that were surprised when they said that they're releasing the 3DS Smash before the Wii U because it's the control scheme exclusively is going to be a lot different.
Right.
And this new 3DS tackles all the problems that people would have almost. I mean, besides it being a GameCube controller, having the C stick, having a Z button is huge. And
having said that, I haven't heard. I actually tried to find earlier some kind of confirmation, but I haven't seen anything that says that it supports Circle Pad Pro. So I'm wondering. I'm assuming and hoping it does. But have you guys heard anything about that?
I have not. I've not heard of it. I've just seen comparisons. To it.
Yeah.
Well, I also, by the way, like the thing that actually I think is.
Sorry.
Okay. I was wondering.
What was that?
That was just the phone.
I'm just kidding.
That was just the phone.
That was a bad
What's a phone?
People have been complaining for a while, including me, every time I fill out a Club Nintendo survey, that there are no Game Boy Advance Virtual Console games on 3DS, and there are no Super Nintendo Virtual Console games. And if you remember when, if any of you have, I guess that's probably at least me and Seth and Gabe, Ambassador Game Boy Advance. Oh, is that a goat?
What is that?
Probably a dog.
Oh, it's a dog.
There you go. Somebody else has to do it next week, and then we'll have a running gag. But if you remember the Game Boy Advance Ambassador games, they're actually all running in a DSi shell. They're ugly as Sin.
Yeah.
They're dark. They don't have any of the like sort of, you know, quote, modern virtual console features like save states and sleep mode because they couldn't get them to run natively on the 3DS 3DS system software. And so I would be really shocked if they don't add those to new 3DS only at some point. And I would be even more shocked if they don't add Super NES to the virtual console for a new 3DS, because otherwise, why would they call out the controller with this design?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that they release the American version with the purple buttons.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
I don't really care about that so much, though.
I don't want that one, but I would.
I think people would be into it, obviously. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people suggest calling it Super 3DS, which is
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be awesome.
sort of funny, I guess, but
It's better than new 3DS. Let's at least agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, they need something to make people know this isn't just a redesign model. But
anyway, final
you know,
thoughts from
we're gonna
anybody
keep
else?
covering it.
Final thoughts on 3DS?
The new, from somebody that isn't me.
I'm not going to get it because I don't play my 2DS a lot. I played Pokemon, I beat it. I played Animal Crossing for a couple months and got tired of it. I'll probably play Smash Brothers for a couple months, and I'm just not someone who consistently buys Nintendo games. So, yeah, probably not. Maybe, though, like you were saying, Michael, that they might start...
This is you don't buy Nintendo games reaction face.
I mean, I'm going to get Smash, but for my 2DS, you know what I'm saying? But like you said, with Game Boy Advance emulation, that might make me want to buy one because the Game Boy Advance has such a really good back catalog, and I'm still right now, even though those Ambassador ports were god awful, I'm really pissed that Gabe can play WarioWare on his damn 3DS.
Yeah, and I don't even like that game. I like Touched way more.
Because that is in my top 5 favorite games. So don't call me a Nintendo hater quite yet, because WarioWare is one of the best games that has ever been made.
Let me put it this way: I will buy Virtual Console games again if they put Super Nintendo games on there.
Yeah. No, I think so too.
Agreed.
So
I will always buy Super Nintendo games on every platform.
So we'll have a unboxing impressions video probably when it comes out in October in Japan.
Sweet.
So that'll about wrap this show up. We will see you guys next week. Hopefully we can get the technical issues out so Tristan can actually be on the show again. If not, fuck him. So
do you want to do what we're playing, or we don't have time?
Yeah, we can do that real quick. I'm just playing Metro, and I just finished Diablo 3. And I'm sure going to be playing the free games that come out sometime. So.
I have been playing a lot of... I just got an Xbox One about a few weeks ago, so I'm playing Forza 5 because I'm a nerd. And I'm playing Diablo 3 again for the Xbox One. I just beat
But
Metro.
you're a nerd because you're playing a racing game, not because you're playing Diablo. Just so we're clear.
Yeah, no, because I'm playing a racing simulator.
What's your character name in Diablo?
Okay, so my go-to RPG name is John Ha, which is just my name with another H in it.
That's so stupid.
Because I made it as a typo in my original Oblivion character, and it just sort of stuck.
Mine's Cyrane. I'm Cyrane in every RPG I play.
Wow. Okay.
It was my first World of Warcraft name. It was a randomly generated name, and I just stuck with it.
I think my name in Skyrim is Hal the Lathe.
My first World of Warcraft character was a female warlock named Cialan, which was dangerously close to the erectile dysfunction medication Cialis.
Chuck Allen.
Was she in a bathtub alongside another person all the time?
Yeah. She was like a gray-haired old lady that's just like looking looking feisty.
Her partner
so you're playing.
just
So
from
you're
her
playing.
brushing her leg by accident.
You're playing Forza and Diablo and anything else?
I just picked up the Pokemon trading card game. I've been playing it for like the last couple hours before this podcast, and it's okay. I like it. I like Pokemon. It's a
What
good
about
thing.
you, Michael?
I'm playing a lot of games, almost all for review. So I'm playing Azure Striker Gunvolt. I finished Mighty Gunvolt earlier. I finished The Fall. I really enjoy it, but it has a lot of lockup issues. But it's basically a cross between like a Metroidvania and a point-and-click adventure game.
Yeah, that's
really interesting story. Really interesting sort of take on the 3 laws of robotics, I think. That's what somebody called it, and
It looks like Moon a little bit to me.
it's not really, but no, it's really great, and I wish that it didn't lock up because otherwise my score would be a lot higher. I'm also playing Danganronpa 2, which is just as well written as the first game and just as disgustingly hypersexualized and aggressive towards teenage girls, which I have a lot of problems with. I'm playing Phoenix. I'm playing Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, which is fantastic. And and Bioshock iOS. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Everything.
And what about you, Seth? Round it up.
Let's see. I'm.
Oh,
I guess
SteamWorld Dig. Sorry, again.
Again?
On Wii U. It came out on Wii U, yeah.
They sent me another copy.
Of course,
It's a great game. It's fun to play through again too because it's random.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, Seth. What about you?
I've been playing Worms for PS4, Worms Battleground this entire summer. I play it pretty much all the time.
How much is it?
I think $15. Yeah.
Okay, as soon as it drops to 10, I'll buy it and I'll play like all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I literally play it almost every day, at least like once or twice. It's
Okay,
fantastic.
Jonah's battery's about to die, so...
Okay, but the new game I'm playing that I definitely would recommend is Ollie Ollie. It's like an indie skateboarding. You could call it an endless runner, but I don't think it's that. I mean,
But I don't do that.
It's more than that to me. I don't really like endless runners that much, and technically it kind of follows that format, but it's really tough and fantastic and really challenging. And it's an awesome game.
Okay.
Just came out on PS4, and it's great.
Yeah. Okay, so that wraps it up. We will say goodbye now. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.